March 20th, 2012, and it's 8:50 a.m. Josh Waits, investigator Spencer Norton, and say your name for me.
Alice Bluebill.
What's your employee number?
14838.
How long you been here?
Since 2002.
2002. Good deal. What do you currently do?
I work in the Abundant office.
Okay. How long you been there?
Since August of 2011.
What did you do before that?
I was a regular correctional officer.
Just in the housing units?
All around.
All around. Good deal.
We're going to ask you some questions. I know you already spoke with Sergeant Harrison, but you have the easy part. All you got to do is be truthful. You know, some of the questions we asked you, he may have already asked you, but he's out of town, so we haven't been able to speak with him.
Okay.
I was reading this statement, and I guess you were under investigation for something, a sexual harassment or involvement or something, slander maybe.
No, Lieutenant Monroe asked me about a complaint that was brought to his attention by one of the clerks, and he asked me to write a statement about it.
And that's what this was? Okay, I'm reading your statement. I noticed you wrote like 4 sentences regarding that investigation, and then you went off into something totally different about Correctional Officer Nelson, which had nothing to do with your slander. So what I need for you to do is explain to me why you felt the importance of writing this in your statement, and how did you learn about this information?
Because he asked me why was I down there, what was my reason for going to Housing at 3, and he said when you write a statement you must tell all facts and be truthful, and that's the reason I went down there. And I was thinking that this allegation about me calling someone was a result of me saying that to her.
So, on March 9th, that's the same day that the incident with Brian still happened.
No, that's the only day that I was in House Unit 3 with Officer Nelson.
And Brian still called on the phone?
I don't know if he called or not because I didn't answer the phone. On that day, that was the only day I've ever been in House Unit 3 with Officer Nelson and Officer Adams. And he asked me, what did I go to 3 for? And that's what I went for.
So you don't know if still called up there?
Mm-mm.
Did the phone ring while you was up there?
The phone rings constantly.
And you don't know who called on the phone?
Mm-mm.
All right, give me a minute to read all these statements and let me make sure that nobody else writes anything about y'all carrying on a conversation about Brian still calling up there.
Okay.
Because remember the importance of being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Who hung up the phone?
I don't know. I didn't hang up the phone.
You
I
didn't
was
hang up the
standing
phone?
at the tower door. And Officer Nelson had a B&B that needed to be escorted out.
Both Nelson and Adams were in the tower.
And Nelson was getting ready to leave to escort the B&B out the housing unit.
And just to catch me up, because I know you mentioned you went down there for a reason. What reason was it to go down
Just to talk to Nelson and tell her something that I had heard.
What did you hear?
That she was involved or had a relationship with an inmate. And I just brought her to her attention.
When did you hear that?
The day before.
Yeah. Who'd you hear that from?
From Nurse Darla.
Nurse?
A former employee that worked here years ago.
Nurse Darla?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her first name or her last name?
Her first name.
You know her last name?
Phillips.
And are you friends with Nurse Darla?
No, I just called her for her birthday. I talk to her every now and then.
Oh, okay. So it was her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And how'd the conversations, from the beginning to the end, how'd it go?
I just told her happy birthday, and then she was like, does Nelson still work there? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I heard something about her.
Right.
And I said, what? And she said that she's involved with an inmate.
Did she give you a name?
Mm-hmm.
What name did she give you?
Stephen Wilbert Brooks.
And how did Darla know?
I guess she heard from another nurse that worked here before.
Which nurse was that?
Named Aisha. I don't know her last name.
Aisha?
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't work anymore?
No.
How you spell Aisha?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Former nurse?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all are talking, she says, does Nelson still work there? You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I heard she's involved with Stephen Wilbur Brooks.
She said I heard she's involved with the inmate.
Okay.
And then she said his name. And I told her I hadn't heard that.
And she said, I heard it from Aisha, another former nurse.
She didn't say who she heard it from. I said that's who she could have heard it from.
Oh, okay. What makes you think she could have heard it from Aisha?
Because they worked in the infirmary together.
Okay. Darla and Aisha?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she could have heard from her. Do you have Darla's phone number?
No, I don't.
How'd you call?
I got the number from Officer Collier. They dated once before.
Alright, so Darla,
Mm-hmm.
David Collier.
Four statements written and four statements says you hung up the phone, but you don't remember hanging up a phone up there?
I didn't hang up the phone. I
Why
have
would
no
they say
reason
that?
to. I don't know. They don't like me. It was only 2 people there.
Was you up there when whoever was on the other end called back and said who hung up the phone?
No.
You went so immediately
I
after
don't
the
know.
phone hung up. You
Nobody
walked out.
answered the phone on speakerphone, so I don't know what was said to who and who called.
So your sole reason for going up to there that day was to confront Nelson.
Not to confront her, just to tell her what I had heard.
You couldn't call up there to tell her?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I was taking my lunch break, and they never like to talk on the phone anyway. So I just went there.
Did you eat up there?
Did I eat? Mm-mm.
Are you friends with Nelson?
We were friends. All of us were friends when I was on B team together. Then our schedules are different, so.
So you don't hang out with her now, or?
Mm-mm. I never hung out with her, but I talked to her though.
Did you tell the supervisor about what you heard?
No, because I didn't know if it was true or not. I just said it to her.
What'd she say?
She said, "Who told you that?" And she got mad, and that was it. And that was the end of the conversation.
She said, who told you that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of it.
And she got mad, and then she's like, "Oh well."
Did you tell her who told you?
Mm-mm. We just walked out.
And y'all walked together back?
We walked out. She was escorting a B&B out up to Laura Lee's.
Did you walk with her and the B?
Mm-hmm. We walked out together up the hallway.
And y'all didn't say anything else? It was just walked in silence?
No, she was talking to the lady, telling her she hopes she doesn't come back and all that kind of stuff. And that was it.
What did Adams have to say?
Me and Nelson walked out together. Adams was in the tower.
Adams didn't say anything about it?
I didn't say it to her. Me and Nelson were in the catwalk walking out the housing unit.
And did you say anything else to anybody?
No. I just gave it to him and wrote my statement.
As far as you know, nobody else had heard about it?
I don't think so, no.
Nurse Darla didn't say, oh, I told so-and-so, or...
Mm-mm. Nelson talks to other people.
Have you ever met Stevens Brooks or Brooks Stevens?
Mm-mm.
Would it surprise you that Nelson had a relationship with an inmate?
That's why I brought it to her attention.
You didn't believe it, or?
No, I just said, Nelson, I heard this about you. If someone said something like that about me, I would want to know.
What's the policy for COs and fraternization with inmates?
It's not supposed to happen.
What's not?
Fraternization with inmates.
What constitutes fraternization?
Talking about personal stuff.
Does everybody know that? I know you've been here a while. You've been here almost, 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Does every CO know that you're not supposed to?
It's in the rules and regulations. I don't know if they know it.
Would you consider it kind of common sense, too, to know that you're not supposed to have a relationship with an inmate?
Mm-hmm.
Do any inmates have your personal cell phone number?
Me?
Do you know of anybody that gives out their personal cell phone number to inmates?
No.
Have you ever had a friend or relative or anyone you've had a relationship with come into jail?
Mm-hmm.
What's the protocol?
You let your supervisor know.
Why would you do that? Just would they put you in a different housing unit? Make sure you're not working with your relatives. So.
Mm-hmm.
And that's common knowledge as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes people you date or relatives or both?
I guess both.
Is there anyone else from the day you heard till 5 minutes ago you heard talking about Nelson? Including yesterday's roll call when she didn't show up for work and they put her on and they said she was on admin leave. What's been said?
That she's not here. They wonder why she's not here.
Right. Nobody said anything about why she's not here?
No. I know when I was in Lieutenant Monroe's office typing a statement, and Officer Hill comes with the inmate workers. And I was in there and I told him to leave because I didn't want them to think I was talking to him about what was going on.
Right.
And I know Officer Burton might know.
Officer Burton may know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same shift? Officer
She's,
Burton work now?
The medical officer. I know her and Nelson are friends.
Okay.
And I know the day that I gave my statement to Lieutenant Monroe, she said Nelson kept coming down there asking her, did she tell me something? I don't know what this something is, but she said Nelson was angry, and she said, what's going on with Nelson? And I said, I don't know.
Have you talked to Nelson since this day?
Mm-mm.
She hasn't tried to call you or?
Mm-mm. She hasn't said anything to me.
Does anybody else try to call you to ask you about it?
Mm-mm. I only talk to certain people.
Everything there? Do you think that's a serious allegation
What?
for
About an
a
officer?
correctional officer to be involved with an inmate? Would that be serious or minor?
I believe it to be serious.
So if you think it's serious, then would it be serious enough to notify a supervisor?
But I don't know if it's any validity to it or not. That's why I brought it to
Regardless,
attention.
I mean, somebody's got to figure it out if there's validity or not.
Oh.
So, I mean, just saying, oh, well, I've heard it, but I don't know if it's true, so I'm not going to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think a supervisor should have been known? So maybe if there is something going on, they could.
Well, yeah, after the fact, yeah.
I mean, the reason it's serious is because they could be planning something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she could be providing him with a weapon. You know,
Any contraband.
You know, we've already found bullets and the makings of a gun in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
Fulton County, a guy got shot in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guns and drugs and cell phones and everything else get into jails, not by visitors, you know, but by employees. So that's the reason it's so serious. So whenever you hear something like that,
Go to a supervisor.
yeah, because it's easy to figure out.
Okay.
So
I mean, you did eventually tell Lieutenant Monroe in a statement, but
Mhm.
it was a week later. And anything can happen in a week.
Mhm. I gave them a statement the next day after he brought it to my attention.
For something totally different. From an
Yeah.
allegation that
Mhm.
stemmed against you. So if he never would have approached you and said, hey, clerk
Oh,
still said this about
yeah.
you, we still wouldn't be dealing with this today
I
because
under-
you wouldn't have told nobody.
I understand.
So
This is an ongoing investigation.
Mhm.
So the most important part of this conversation is this. Don't discuss it with anybody.
Okay.
And if you hear anybody talking about Nelson,
Mhm.
Brooks, anything going on with your case
Mhm.
or with her case,
Mhm.
please come and see us.
Okay.
All right? You know, tell your supervisor. If your
Mhm.
supervisor asks you about what's going on, just tell them I can't talk about it.
Okay.
Your supervisors, know
Mhm.
that there's an investigation going on,
Okay.
so don't discuss it with them.
Okay.
All right? If you hear anything,
When
even
will-
in staff dining, come see us.
I was gonna ask. When will Mr. Harrison be back?
Another week and a half.
Oh, cause he told me that if I thought of anything or heard anything to come see him, but I haven't seen him.
Right. He's in class actually for a week.
He's gone. He's actually
Oh.
turned this over to us, so he's not even dealing with this anymore.
Oh. Okay.
Did you
So-
think of anything?
Well, I know a while ago when B-Team was on the night shift, because I talked to Officer Collier, and he just mentioned that Nelson came to his housing unit to see some guy she said was her neighbor to take him to use the phone often. I don't know if that has anything to do with this or not.
That's very
Often,
important.
That's what he
So-
said to me.
it's Collier working shift. I mean,
Mhm.
is it same shift that's on today?
Mhm.
And that would be the housing unit that maybe Brooks is in?
He worked in housing unit too.
Okay.
Good deal.
I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. So even if I hear stuff like that, whether it's
Please.
true or not,
Yeah,
Yeah.
please
go-
come see us.
Because
It can only help.
the only way we can figure out if it's true or not is to do the investigation.
Because we got to talk to about, I don't know, a dozen people, and it's hard piecing all the pieces together without the right information. So
Is,
anything will help.
is your investigation closed?
Lieutenant Monroe asked me about it yesterday. He didn't say whether or not.
He's the one doing it, right?
Uh-huh.
Is he doing it?
He talked to me about it yesterday.
So it's done deal?
Well, he
They close it
didn't
up?
tell me anything about it.
We'll ask him about it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out and see.
You're working. What you get off at 2,
Mhm.
and you're in bonded.
Mhm.
Who else is back there?
Sergeant Day and Officer Clark and Lieutenant.
Um,
I don't
if-
know his name.
Is it, would that be uncommon for, if I was a CO, to go to another housing unit to pull somebody out to use a phone if I'm not assigned to that unit?
Would it be uncommon?
Yeah, I mean, is that
Yes.
something that shouldn't happen?
Mhm.
So if I'm not assigned to this unit, then I have no business going down there?
Not unless a sergeant sent you.
But a sergeant wouldn't send me to take somebody to use a phone if that's not my unit, right?
Well, if the person's like, if someone's in a housing unit by themselves and people's families and stuff call, and the sergeant might say, "Can you go escort this person to intake?" He's authorized to get a phone call or whatever.
But a sergeant will call, right?
The sergeant will call. And
The
they'll
CO
be-
just doesn't appear and say, "Hey, I need to grab so and so."
No, because they always, well, when I used to go to roll call all the time, they would say, when you have people in your housing unit for whatever reason, to write them on the log and know their purpose for being there.
Good deal.
Good deal. All right, I don't have anything that would be helpful. So, what if
All
you
right.
think
Just
of anything?
anything you hear like that,
Mhm.
just let us know. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll find out from Lieutenant Monroe the status of your case.
Okay.
'Cause I know it's stressful.
Yeah,
Okay.
Especially wondering if it's closed or not. So we'll
You
figure
got
it
any
out.
questions for us?
No.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.